My husband still thinks I go totally deaf the moment my hearing aids come out, but I taught myself to read lips 2 years ago, and I catch every word he mouths when he thinks I'm sealed in silence. I lost most of my hearing to meningitis the year before our wedding. Caleb learned a little sign language, but he always believed that the moment my aids came off and went on the nightstand, the world went mute for me until morning. For a while, he was right. Then I got tired of feeling like a ghost in my own home, so I started practicing in secret, watching faces on TV with the sound off, mouthing words back at the mirror for hours. 6 months in, I could follow almost anything, and the first things I caught felt like gifts. I'd watch Caleb across the kitchen on the phone with his brother, and he'd say marrying me was the luckiest thing that ever happened to him, that I was the strongest person he knew. I'd seen those videos where people overhear their partners saying the sweetest things, and I thought I'd quietly stumbled into my own little miracle. Those silent sentences felt like love letters he never knew he was writing. The secret felt harmless, sweet even. Everything changed about 4 months ago, when I reacted to something I was never supposed to hear. We were in bed, my aids already charging, and Caleb was pacing by the window on a late call. He mouthed something sharp about me always nagging him over the credit card statement, and without thinking, I sat up and said, "That's not fair. I asked you once." He froze mid-step. He turned slowly and asked, "Nadia, did you just understand me?" I covered fast, mumbling that I'd felt his footsteps and figured he was complaining about bills again. Like always, he seemed to buy it, but something behind his eyes had shifted. Here's where it gets complicated. Caleb stopped taking calls in the same room as me. He started covering his mouth when he talked, turning his back, speaking only when my aids were out, then watching my face like a hawk to see if I'd flinch. I realized I had to be perfect now, or I'd be exposed. The situation got worse when we ran into my friend Lena at the hardware store. She hugged me, then turned to Caleb and said, "Hey, I saw your silver truck outside the Birch Street apartments on Tuesday night. Is your sister finally moving into the city?" Caleb's face drained of color. He cut her off, said she must be confusing his truck with someone else's, and steered us toward the parking lot. I was confused for 2 reasons. Caleb doesn't have a sister, and Tuesday night he'd told me he was working late at the warehouse. That's when Caleb became obsessed with proving I couldn't read lips. He'd whisper to his mother with his hand over his mouth, then casually ask me later what I thought they'd talked about. He started taking every call out in the garage with the door shut. One night I caught him on his laptop reading an article about how rare fluent lip readers actually are. "You really can't tell what people are saying without the aids, right?" he'd ask, smiling, and I'd shrug in sign that I wished I could. The pressure is unbearable now because I'm slipping. Last week I almost answered when he muttered across the room that he had to move money before the 14th, and the Birch Street thing won't leave me alone. Whose apartment is on Birch Street? Why was his truck there at night? Things escalated when I watched him in the backyard on Thursday, aids out, certain I was deaf to the world. He was smiling in a way I hadn't seen in months, and through the glass his lips were easy to read. "She can't hear a thing without those things in. Trust me," he said. "She's completely clueless. I'll tell her it's a work conference. I'll be there by 8. Then he said a name I didn't know. Mara. He said it the way you say a name that matters. The worst part happened this morning. Caleb packed an overnight bag and told me, slowly and carefully, facing me so I could read every word, that a last-minute conference came up 2 cities over and he'd be back Sunday night. He even wrote it on the notepad by the fridge, underlined, like proof. I smiled and signed that I'd miss him. He kissed my forehead, relaxed and sure, certain I was locked inside my silence where I couldn't touch a single thing he'd said. He picked up his keys and turned for the door. That's when I reached up, slid both hearing aids out, set them gently on the counter, and said it clearly enough for the whole house to hear. "Drive safe, and tell Mara the apartment on Birch Street gets much nicer light in the mornings." His bag slid off his shoulder and hit the floor. For once, I didn't have to read his lips. His face said all of it.